Welcome, Unreasonable Life community. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited for today's workshop where we are going to be talking about the 5 key areas that client expectations need to be reset, right? These are key for making sure that your clients feel like they are getting the best results possible, right? Because the thing that you need to know is that every client has an expectation, right? And the mistake that we make is that we don't draw out those expectations. So we don't really know whether or not we're meeting them or not. And so they're leaving disappointed most of the time. And we have no idea, right? This is not just a problem in our industry, in the massage industry, right? I started thinking about this because I had a plumber come to my house and he was coming to my house to fix a little like spigot under the sink, right? The shut off valve, right under the sink because it was broken. I couldn't shut the water off. Over the phone, he quoted me $125 for the session, so or for that job. So that he set my expectation there, right? And then when he got there, he's like, "Oh, it's this, and this is happening, and for me to do it now, it's going to be $250, right?" And I was pissed. I'm like, "Dude, you set my expectations here at 125 and now you're telling me it's 250." It felt very scammy to me, right? So I thought, is there situations in my business where the client might be expecting one thing and then I deliver another? And so that's what got me on this kick. And I've come up with 5 main ones. There is more, but 5 key ones that if you get these 5 right, you have a really good chance of the customer being very happy, right? And I'm going to go over those right now. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first one is we want to reset client expectations that this is a process, not an event, right? So a lot of clients, they might subconsciously be thinking that one session should fix it all, right? So we want to make sure that they know, and we want to use language that states that this is a process, right? This is not a one thing, one session is not going to fix your problems, right? This problem most likely didn't happen overnight. And so it's probably not going to be fixed overnight, right? So we want to use language like our goal today isn't to fix everything. It's to make progress towards meaningful change, right? We want to use language like starting the process of moving towards that goal. You want to insert that type of language into when you're talking about what you can do for them, right? We want to one guy in his course in the rebooking mastery, Scott, talks about using or saying a phrase like yeah, come on in, and we can get you on the right track towards your goal, right? State that language states that we're getting you on the right track. This is not a one-time thing, right? So a lot of clients are expecting uh, subconsciously that you perform some sort of miracle. Okay, so we want to frame and use language that this is a process. The second thing we want to do is we want to make sure and we want to extract out what they actually expect. I want to hear what are the results that you want out of today's session, right? So of today, right? So we want to be framing it as a whole process, but I want to extract and I want to hear their expectation for today's session. Excuse me, allergies are killing me out here. All right. So clients often do expect subconsciously that they feel 100% better after one session, right? That this solves their problem forever, right? They want like an immediate nothing, no pain. So we need to find out what they expect, right? So that we can reset that expectation. This is key for getting them or for making them happy. Key. So we're simply just going to ask, what is your ideal outcome for today's session? What results are you expecting out of one session? Right? This allows us to extract that expectation, and then we can either confirm it because maybe they do have a realistic expectation and now we're on the same page. We want to make sure we're on the same page here, right? So I don't know if I am if I haven't extracted what they expect, right? So now we're on the same page and I can confirm that is exactly right. That is, it is going to take multiple sessions, right? Or like one client said to me, she was like, I expected this completely goes away, which now that I know that, I can then reset what's actually possible or what's more likely or more realistic, right? She might not be happy with that, but it gives me the opportunity to reset those expectations to just put her in the right frame of mind, right? So that she doesn't leave disappointed, like, wow, I still feel that pain. It's like, well, yeah, you've been having this pain for 8 years and your upper back, right? But we went from an 8 to a 5 or an 8 to a 6. That's progress. That's good, right? So we want to make sure that they are in a progress focused mindset, not a perfection mindset. Progress focused mindset. That also will protect you from the mindset, well, it came back. It's like, well, we know it's going to come back, right? You need to teach them to expect that it is going to come. You're going to go back to regular life, right? This goes into the last one of the last workshops we did when we talked about frequency recommendations and setting that expectation correctly, right? That we know if you're coming in once a month, there's no chance that we're going to make real progress on this if this is a chronic issue, right? You're having this issue all the time. You're going to have some repetition, right? And so that is key number two is we want to extract what they expect and then either confirm or reset the expectations around what is a realistic result. Much, much happier clients when you do that. Much happier, especially, right? And this is what I do is I will promise or I will set expectations around a 2 point, maybe 3 point drop in pain, right? That is a realistic. You're at an 8 right now. I really would like to get you to a 6. Maybe it might be possible to get you to a 5, right? If we do some of the things right. Now, if I exceed those expectations, if I get them to a 3 or a 2 or maybe even for a day or two a 0, then they are through the roof ecstatic about the results that they got. They were only expecting a 6, but I got them to a 3. They're pumped. They're believers, right? That's key to client satisfaction, right? Making sure we set expectations around what they can achieve in one session and then reset their expectations around how to move forward, right? The third thing that we need to reset expectations around or set an expectation is pressure, right? This is huge, right? We tell clients to let us know when the pressure feels right, but the truth is they don't know. They don't know what it's supposed to feel like, right? So we need to give them a framework for them to understand what they're supposed to be feeling. Once they have that, then they can speak up. Because when you're just like, hey, just let me know if the pressure's ever too much or not enough. In their mind, they're thinking, well, how am I supposed to know if it's too much? Or how am I supposed to know if it's working or not? Right? And a lot of people, they have an expectation that it has to be really painful to be effective. And some people are like, well, if it's really painful, then I'm going to be hurting the next day. Like that's their expectation. So we need to set a framework. This is what you should be feeling, right? So this allows them to know exactly when to speak up for more or less pressure. And it makes it so much easier for them to speak up because they know what they're supposed to be feeling and they know what it's when it's wrong and what they're not supposed to be feeling. Right. So the framework that I simply use is I tell them when it's massage, because this is also not true for my stretching technique where I want them to feel no pain. In massage, I tell them I want the pressure to feel like I want it to be right around about it hurts so good, right? And I'll tell them this is where I feel like it can be deep enough that it is feeling like it's doing something beneficial, and it's also not so light that you feel like I'm just rubbing lotion on you. I make a joke here, right? Or I'm just rubbing lotion on you, and you can do that yourself at home, right? I want it to be in this sweet spot, and I want it to feel like, oh my gosh, right there. And I literally act out the experience that I want them to feel on the table. That's what I want. I want you to feel like, oh my gosh, right there, like this. It's as tender, but it still feels good, right? So now they know exactly what feeling they're supposed to feel on the table. Now, if it's less than that, it's easier for them to speak up. If it's more than that and it's just painful, and I'll tell them if it's just painful and you're having thoughts of like wanting to get away from it, right? Or you're tensing up, or maybe, and I'll tell them this as another joke, maybe you're having thoughts about punching me in the face, please let me know. That way I can make the adjustment and get you to that hurt so good feeling, right? So all of that makes the conversation around pressure 100 times easier for the client. It is so difficult for clients to speak up about pressure. One, because they don't know what to expect. They don't know what pressure is actually going to work for them today. They're so used to being disappointed. They're so used to it being way too much or way too little. So if we can find that perfect pressure for them and use this framework, the results are so much better. The client satisfaction is so much higher. And just this one thing alone will allow you to rebook clients like crazy. Like, really think about the last time somebody hit the perfect pressure on you during a massage. It's so rare. It's so rare. And this tip number 3 could completely change your rebooking rate if you get this right. The fourth thing we want to set expectations around is post session soreness, right? This is one of those things that can really kill uh, clients being satisfied, right? And it also, when this is not done right, it stops people from following up because they're afraid of what the answers they're going to get, right? So we know clients being sore after a session is common, right? But if they aren't expecting that, they can equate that to like soreness being bad or damage, or so again, soreness being a bad thing. We don't want that, right? We want to reset them to expect it as a normal part of the process, right? So after the session, we're simply going to say, I would expect that you're gonna be pretty sore after today's session, right? Being sore is it's fairly common, right? We went pretty deep. You're probably going to be pretty sore, right? So we want to let them know that it's a normal part of the process. We want to tell them how long they should feel it and what should it feel like on average, right? And that looks like I'd expect you to be sore for a day or two, right? And it's going to feel similar to like you're pretty sore after a workout. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we set like what happens if it's longer than that, right? So this will stop them. So like this will open up communication for you when you say, if it stays longer than that, let me know because maybe we need to adjust pressure. Like, was pressure too much for you today? Right. That'll also get you an honest answer. Okay. No, it wasn't. Perfect. Well, if it is sore for more than a day or two or longer, a week or whatever, let me know. That just means we need to probably make an adjustment for pressure next time. And then it just opens up communication for you guys. Right. This also builds trust. And again, like I said, it can reduce your anxiety about following up and being afraid of the answer. So now if they say they're sore, well, yeah, of course you are. That was to be expected. Is it still there? Right. So it really allows that conversation to happen. And now we're in communication and we're working together to solve this problem, right? And now this soreness that they experience is not a negative. It was just expected as a normal part of the process. So you have to have that conversation that will, again, that those thoughts after, oh, I was really sore after that session. If they weren't expecting that, that's now a negative towards you. So this is key to client satisfaction. The last one, the fifth one that we want to go over is what should they be feeling during the session, right? And I learned this first off just by paying attention to my own thoughts on the table. One of the things I tell my coaching clients is I don't want your clients thinking anything else on the table except this feels amazing. I don't want them thinking about what the heck are they doing? Why are they doing it? I asked them for my neck to be worked on. Why are they working on my leg? I don't want these thoughts in their head, right? So I was massaging a client. I was massaging a client one day, and normally she wants deep tissue, right? And I get to that pressure that she likes relatively quickly for her. But on this day, I felt like the pressure I'm getting a lot of pushback, right? It just doesn't feel like it's working today. It doesn't feel I'm getting a lot of resistance in the tissue. And so I just pulled back a little bit and I eased into her trap very gently and I waited. About 10 seconds after that, I spoke up and I said, I know you want me to go deeper. What I'm doing is I am just easing into the tissue. I felt like I was getting a lot of pushback and a lot of resistance. So I'm just easing into the tissue and I'm waiting for your tissue to allow me in. I'm waiting for your tissue to allow me in instead of me forcing it. So I will get to the pressure that you want. I'm just going to take my time in getting there a little bit longer today. Immediately after I said that, she was like, "How did you know I was thinking that?" And I simply said, "Because I would be thinking the same thing." Right? So this will literally make you seem like a mind reader because you're speaking up about what they're thinking before they speak up about what they're thinking. They'll be like, "That are you reading my mind?" Clients are having these thoughts the entire time in your massages. If you're not a massage therapist, they are having these type of thoughts throughout the whole process. Even if you're a plumber or a handyman, they're having these thoughts about what the heck are they doing? Why are they doing it? Right? We need to anticipate those moments and communicate our plan during the session. Right? Especially if it's off of what we normally do or what they normally like. This was a clear moment for me because I know, and she's verbalized in the past, that she wants deep pressure on her shoulders. That's what makes her feel like it works. So when I switch up from that, it's a clear moment for me to communicate and let her know what's going on. That way she can get back to relaxing, knowing that what she wants is coming. We are going to get to that feeling that you want. I'm just going to take my time in getting there. Right? So let's recap. First, we need to reframe and just in our language be using language that subliminally speak, right? Says that this is a process, not an event. Right? The second thing is we need to extract the expectation, what the client is expecting out of them, especially on the first visit. What are you expecting out of results for today's session? Right? That way we can confirm or we have the opportunity to reset expectations to a proper or more realistic outcome. Okay? We need to reframe their and give them a framework of what they can expect for pressure. What is the right pressure to get results? And it doesn't have to be my example. You can come up with your own example, right? If you have a thing that you like to do, right? One example would be like, well, tell me if it's too much, which is a too little, which is a 1, too much, which is a 3, or just right, which is a 2, right? But they still need the framework of what they should feel, right? Telling them it's too much or not enough isn't enough. They have to know what to expect, what they should be feeling to know if it's too much or not enough. Otherwise, they'll silently suffer and they won't speak up and they'll be disappointed with your results. Fourth, post-session soreness. Make sure they're just expecting this is a normal part of the process, right? It should go away in a day or two. If it's longer than that, then maybe we need to readjust pressure on the next session. And you can hear the language in there as I'm already assuming there's going to be a next session. Key to rebooking, right? And then the fifth thing is what should they be feeling during the session? If there's any change in plan, right? Or again, we always have a plan for what we're doing, but they're not aware of the plan. Let's make them aware of our plan and our intention, especially when things are on the lighter side of things, right? In the email I wrote today, I talked about one client having a shoulder pain, and I was doing this stretch on her, and I'm gently tractioning her arm, gently moving it through pain-free ranges of motion. And I know when I got this work done in class, when I learned it, I didn't feel anything, right? Now, I know that the work can be effective even though I'm not feeling anything, but most people don't. Most people don't put those two things together. And so, again, even in that situation, I am communicating, hey, I know this doesn't feel like anything, but here's what I'm doing, right? I'm gently tractioning this shoulder out only to where it stops naturally, right? So that is something you're not going to feel. I would have to pull it much further than that for you to feel something or for you to feel a stretch. But I want you to know that I am stretching this tissue, but only to the point to where you're not going to tense up, and it will actually allow you to let go and allow this tissue to go further with no pain. She was like, okay, perfect. Right now she can relax and just enjoy knowing that there is something actually going on and I'm not just moving her around for no reason. Right. So those are the 5 main reasons or the 5 main areas that you need to reset client expectations to get the best results, to create the happiest customers. When you do this, your client satisfaction is going to go through the roof. It's going to go through the roof. Please implement just one of these over this next week and tell me that you don't get better feedback from your clients, that your clients aren't happier and more enthusiastic to rebook and reschedule with you. I promise you that's going to happen. Why? Because first off, nobody does this. Nobody does this. Right? There's more expectations. Not going to go over them today in today's workshop. But please take one this week and implement it. Take another one the next week and implement it. Right? And just slowly start implementing these into your practice. Thank you guys so much for showing up today. All right, I'm trying to keep these workshops short to the point, giving as much value as I can. So, yeah, I will see you next week in the community. Have a great day.